So today, more than ever, we're emphasizing the mentoringship. More than ever, we're saying, you know what, you got to be educated, you have to be trained, you have to learn how to analyze a deal, you have to know if the numbers work or not. Make sure you know your numbers, okay? And then once you know your numbers, now we have to figure out too whether or not you're ready to borrow. And if you're not ready to borrow, all right, well, let's figure out why not. And most of the time when borrowers call in and are not ready to borrow, it's primarily because they don't have enough liquidity. That's primarily the reason. So what's the solution, right? Let's figure out how they can build up their liquidity, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what do? So let's teach them things like, all right, how do you wholesale a deal, right? The same fundamentals apply, okay? Whether you're buying to wholesale a deal. For those of you who don't know wholesaling, do they know what wholesaling is? It's basically if you identified a property, you made an offer on the property, but you can assign the contract and you could wholesale it out for a markup. For you can make 5 or 10,000 or whatever, and it's a great way to start to build up your cash flow, because this way you can analyze deals and you can figure out if it's a good deal or not a good deal, and then you can build a buyer's list of people. And actually, part of the club, we have a wholesale network, which is really, really cool. So people can post those properties, and some of the investors that follow us all the time, they go look for properties. So it's kind of a nice service for wholesalers. But that's one example of ways in which you can build up your cash flow. Or we can also teach you how to joint venture with people. So don't despair, don't get discouraged. But it's really important to know when you are ready to sign on the bottom line. That's really a critical step in somebody's financial planning. So the club focuses on business principles, fundamental business principles. It focuses on fundamental financial principles. Once you understand where you are, you know where you need to get to. Then we supplemented it with other education and so forth throughout the whole spectrum of rehabbing, and then we're going to invite others to participate with us, and so forth. And we have great relationships with a lot of the educators around the country who are teaching various different subjects. We support that, and the club is meant to be a complement to the other education that's being offered. But as I said, with the focus on fundamental business and financial principles, and one of those principles, of course, is building systems. And so we have a way for them to do that.
Well, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things that you said that kind of struck a chord with me, and the appreciation in the market. When I started my business in 1998, we were coming into a period where we did have that appreciation, and I will tell you, I've probably made every mistake possible when I was rehabbing houses, but I had the advantage of just being able to add it to the price of the house, and I didn't know any better. I thought, my God, this is such an easy business, and this is, I didn't realize it was a very unique time and a great time to be learning the business. Unfortunately, today, it's a different environment, and someone who's just getting started in today's market, without a coach, without proper training, and someone looking over your shoulder and watching out for you to be making sure you're buying the right deals. I mean, that's essential. And also, I want to comment on the wholesaling. I don't know how much our listeners do know about wholesaling and how many of our listeners are actually doing wholesaling, but it's no risk. I mean, there's two benefits. Number one, you're not risking your own capital in a project that may or may not be a deal. And also, two, when I work with folks who are bringing me wholesale deals, they're getting an education because I'm teaching them what's a deal and what's not a deal. Because if it's something they bring me that I'm not interested in, I'm going to tell them why, and I'm sure a lot of investors would kind of provide that information. So if you're an investor and you're a wholesale investor, bringing deals to an investor, and then buyer investor, you're going to learn what they're looking for and what they're not looking for, and it's a great opportunity to get some education. It's all about getting education and not risking your own capital from the very beginning. So I think those are really important points that you had made.
Yeah, it's really important to know when you're loan ready, and we guide people through that. So I just want to say for the folks, yes, please, call our office, and if you're interested in borrowing the capital, learn if you're loan ready, and if you're not, don't despair, because there is a system available for you, and we can guide you through the process of building up your cash reserves, and and getting deals coming your way too. And we have, for example, we have the website. People can build their own websites and start getting leads. And Pat, I know part of the systems that we've developed You have the scripts already outlined for people, and you have the workflow analyses and the step-by-step, kind of thing.
When the caller comes in, there's a series of questions, and just simply just ask the questions and fill in the information, and then that will populate different records in the software. And there will be demos, and we're going to have videos and webinars on that as well. And another aspect of the Brookview Success Club, which I'm really excited about, is we're taking some of my deals from very start to the very end, and just taking it step by step through the process of identifying the deal, why is it a deal, walking through the house for the first time, identifying what type of rehab we want to do to the house, and being very specific about what needs to be done, and more importantly, what doesn't need to be done in the particular market where that house is located. And we're walking through with our contractors, and then we're also going to be following the rehab just a step by step through the process of the rehab to the finished product, to staging the property, to marketing the property, and negotiating with the buyer, and closing the deal. So you'll see a step by step the whole process, and get a good feel for what it's like to go through a complete rehab process.
Yeah, that's excellent, Pat. I really appreciate you doing that for us, because you can be trained and you can be educated in the classroom, but until you get out in the field and see what it's like day to day and roll up your sleeves and kind of a cooperative type of program where you're actually doing it and seeing what people are doing every day,
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And also,
what do I do? Tell me specifically what I need to do.
right, okay. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about what our listeners can do to get more information about obtaining a loan or joining the Success Club?
Yeah, sure, I'll be glad to. Actually, the first thing here, write this number down, which is our toll-free number, 877-734-2211. Again, that's 877-734-2211. And ask for one of our national account managers, and they can guide you through the loan programs and talk in detail about how that works. They can also talk in detail about the club and the programs that we have there, and that's a great place to start. But I would also say go to our websites, and the finance website is www.brookviewfinancial.com, and the club website is brookviewclub.com. And both will talk about their respective areas. And there's a lot of information on those sites. And of course, the brookviewclub.com is the site that will be very interactive for members and so forth. And so you can start there. But let me tell your listeners a little bit about the process.